right, we're here at Redleg Nation today. On Monday afternoon, we asked for some draft-related questions for the article today. Um, Instead of typing out a bunch of answers, I decided to make this little video. I'm going to try and keep it to about 10 minutes, so just going to jump right on into this. The first question comes from Kevin Isaacson. Um, were the very late selections of high schoolers a way to pay big bonuses to sign them? And how good are those kids? Yeah, I think for the most part, the idea is that if you've got some money left over, maybe you can get a guy who fell down in the draft a little bit. Somebody who had a strong commitment to college, or maybe was asking for more money for his slot position than teams thought he was valued at. Um, Sometimes teams will take those guys with the hopes that, as things go along, they've got an extra couple $100,000 laying around, and they can make an offer of, three, four, $500,000 to these guys, and it'll still work within their draft budget to sign them. I think that some of these guys are a little bit better than others. Um, I'll address one guy that really sticks out for me a little bit later with another question, but I don't want to ruin that one. So just keep watching, and I'll get to a player that I think would be a good sign if the Reds are able to land him. The next question comes from Ohio Jim W. For the left-handed pitcher Scott Moss, fourth rounder, turned out to be the steal of the draft for the Reds. Now I think he really could be. Scott Moss is 6'5" left-hander, 220 pounds. Um, did not really pitch too much at Florida. He missed 2 seasons with Tommy John surgery. But when he was on the mound, he was dominant. This season was the only year that he pitched at Florida. He had an ERA of 1.59. Now, he only pitched in 22.2 innings, but he had 9 walks and 31 strikeouts. He generally sits 92 to 95 miles an hour this fastball from the left side, which that's really impressive. He's got a changeup, a really good slider. Um, I think that with his injury history, you might be pushing it a little bit if you send him out there to start. But I think as a reliever, he could be a guy who could move really quickly. Um, is a left-hander. The Reds are in desperate need of left-handed relievers in the system. So it wouldn't surprise me if he started in full season ball right away, and then moved up rather quickly if he does have success. And the next question comes from Gaffer. What late rounder will get is worth way over slot bonus? Um, I think there's two guys that really stand out to me. We'll start with the college guy. In the 32nd round, the Reds took left-handed pitcher Matt Crohan. I think I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not, I'm very sorry. Um, but he was starter at Winthrop. He showed really big stuff. Um, my dog is barking in the background like a jerk, like I'm not recording this. Hey, stop it. Yeah. Um, he was sitting in the low 90s and he touched 97 this season. He's also got a very good slider. Changeup needs some work, but with velocity like that from the left side, if you can grab a guy like that in the 32nd round, that's going to be huge. He only pitched 19 innings this year. He had some elbow tendonitis. Um, didn't undergo surgery or anything yet. I don't know if he needs it or not, but he did not pitch much this season. But when healthy, the stuff was very, very impressive. If you can sign a guy like that in the second or in the 32nd round, I think that would be a very big get for the Reds. And then the high school guy that I really liked from the later rounds was 27th rounder Dion Henderson, 6'4", 203-pound left-handed pitcher, 27th round. He's already working 89 to 91. At that size, you got to think there's more velocity in there. Um, he touches a little bit higher than that already, so it wouldn't surprise me if when he's fully matured, he's sitting in the low 90s and touching the mid 90s. He's got a curveball. It shows some potential, but it's inconsistent at this point. And he's got a change up, but not a pitch he throws too much. I think that he's just one of these raw athlete guys, and with his size and velocity as a left-hander, another few years down the road, he would go a lot higher in the draft if he goes out and stays healthy while he goes to college. If the Reds can sign him, I think that would be a very good get as well. The next question is from JC. How fast do you see Trammell making it to the majors? He's talking about supplemental first rounder Taylor Trammell, who signed, well, I guess when this shows up, it'll be yesterday. He signed on Monday for $3.2 million, which was well over the 1.8 something that his slot value is at. Um, I think that he'll probably move a little slower than some of the college guys for sure. He's scheduled to start in Billings this year. I think that we'll see him finish the year out there. He'll probably spend all of next year in Dayton, and then his performance will dictate where he goes after that. But I think the quickest we're going to see him in the big leagues is probably 4 years from now. I mean, he'll still be 21 years old at that point if he makes his debut 4 years from now. As a high school guy, he's going to take a little bit longer um, than your college guys are going to, just because he's starting out at 18 years old. Um, it's not too often you see guys come up at 19, 20 years old, like you see Mike Trout, Bryce Harper. Those kind of guys are just rare breeds of incredible baseball players. Um, I think that he's considered a little bit raw at this point. Not necessarily untalented, but he spent a lot of time playing football in high school as well, where he's the Georgia High School Football Player of the Year in his senior year. So he's been splitting his time between football and baseball. So he may have a little bit of catching up to do in terms of where he's at compared to some of the other top high school players in the draft this year. Incredibly athletic, so it wouldn't surprise me if everything just clicked all at once for him. But I do think that it's going to take him a few years to get to the major leagues. Okay, so the next question is from Seat 101. How do you think the new CBA will affect the current amateur player draft? Um, I'm not really sure it's going to change much. I think that both sides are generally happy with how things go, outside of course, college seniors, but um, they're they're kind of out of luck anyways because they have no bargaining power, and the big league players pretty much make the rules for how the draft goes. I'd be surprised if we saw any big changes whatsoever. I think that both the teams are fairly happy, and for the most part, the agents are happy with how things are playing out. Where I do think the new CBA will change things is how the international side of player acquisition is dealt with. I know that Major League Baseball desperately wants an amateur draft for the rest of the world. Um, the scouts and agents and Buscones, they do not want that to happen. They kind of point to Puerto Rico and how things have played out there since they've been added to the Rule 4 draft in June. Um, talent's kind of dried up over there. I just don't think that we're going to see a worldwide draft like Major League Baseball wants right away. But I do think that that's where we're going to see some changes when it comes to amateur player acquisition. Probably not something in the June draft. The next question is from Joseph. Would you be mad if the Reds drafted King Griffey Jr.'s son in the 30th round like the Mariners did in the 24th? Yeah, I would have. I think that you can still find players in the 24th or 30th round that can help your organization. Maybe they're not going to be future big leaguers, but they're guys that absolutely deserve a chance to play professional baseball, and guys that can bring something to your minor league system that maybe they can help out the guys that you feel are more big league prospects on the field. Not everybody's going to be that guy, but some of these guys, they've got plenty to teach other players as they move along through the system. And then every now and again you are going to find those guys in the 20th and 30th rounds that are going to turn into big leaguers. Trey Griffey has not played baseball since I think he was 12 years old. So I understand what they were trying to do there, but I think that you're just taking away an opportunity from someone else. I know that you're going to sign undrafted free agents, but you took away somebody's chance to hear their name called on draft day. I don't like that. I would have been upset if the Reds did something like that. Okay, the next question comes from JB. Do you think Oki can fast track to the majors? Looks like Stevenson will take a while. Um, I really don't think you can ever really plan on fast tracking a catcher. There's just so much going on, so many things that they need to learn and work on. Even college guys that are advanced. Um, you know, for every guy that's like Buster Posey that'll get to the big leagues in a year or two, For a catcher, there's a lot of guys that'll take 3 or 4 years. You know, for them, they've got to develop both their bat and the defensive skills behind the plate, and it's not something that you can just pick up overnight like you can certain other things. They've got to learn to work with the pitchers. They've got to work on controlling the running game. They've got to learn to handle the pitching staff as a whole. There's just so much on the table for a catcher. It's really hard to say that a guy could move quickly at that position. Generally, it's one of those positions that most guys don't make it to the major leagues until they're 24 or 25 years old. Um, Chris Oakey, the big key with him is that he seemed to be uh, pretty good across the board at everything. He's definitely somebody who the Reds feel handles pitching staffs very well. That was one of the things that was written up on his scouting report. Pretty much wherever you looked, everybody seemed to think that he kind of had that aspect of the game um, pretty much advanced more than anybody else in the draft. Um, but again, it's just I don't feel comfortable thinking that a catcher can kind of zoom through the system. I do think that we may see him jump past Tyler Stevenson in terms of where he's at a level right now. I think that Stevenson's wrist injury it could keep him out for a prolonged period of time. We hope for the best, but things you know I mean, the guy was in a cast, a hard cast, just last week when I saw him in Dayton, and the Reds were going to reevaluate him probably right around today or tomorrow and see where things were. Um, but it just doesn't seem like he's going to be ready to play anytime soon. I hope I'm wrong, but I think that we're going to see Chris Oakey probably pass him up if not this year, next year. I think that Tyler Stevens is probably going to repeat in Dayton, no matter how things play out this year. And Oki will probably start out next year in Daytona. So that'll definitely put him ahead and on the faster track. He definitely won't be blocked by Tyler Stevenson in terms of advancing through a level. Um, yeah. So I don't think that I'd fast track him. I don't think he's a guy that's going to be moved nearly as quickly as say Nick Senzel is. But it wouldn't surprise me if he made it to the majors within 3 years either. And for a catcher, that's pretty quick. Okay, we'll get to the last question now, which is from Patrick Jeter. How do you like the Tyler Mondale pick, and what do you think of him? Personally, I love the pick. You know, he's in most years he's probably the top player in his state. He just had the unfortunate circumstances that Jason Groom also happened to be born in New Jersey 18 years ago. Um, he actually went up against Jason Groom, who came into the season as the top prospect in the entire country. Things didn't quite work out for him as well this season, although he still went in the first round. But the Reds got Tyler Mondale in the sixth round, and I really don't think that there's an enormous difference as to where those two guys are right now. In fact, I think that Mondale might be a better pitcher right this second. He doesn't quite have the same projection that Jason Groom does, but he's a 6'2" righty, so he's definitely got enough size. He throws 92 to 90 or 90 to 92 miles an hour, touches 96 already. Solid changeup, solid curveball. Um, I think that in the sixth round, you're not gonna get much more than that as long as someone doesn't drop and you're gonna be paying them way more than slot money. I think there's a lot to like with Tyler Mondale. He throws strikes. He's got enough stuff. Definitely worth a sixth round pick. Um, but yeah, so I think we're gonna cut it off there. That was the last question we had, anyways. Hopefully, we kept it short enough for everybody. And I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about these kind of videos. I like doing them, but obviously it matters more about what you guys like than what I enjoy doing. But this is just a lot easier for me, and I kind of like just talking about it instead of sitting down and typing everything. So leave me a comment about what you think, and yeah, just check back every Tuesday for my column here at Redleg Nation, whether it's going to be one of these videos or something that's all typed out. Definitely going to get lots of Reds information either way.